And we've got a good one for you today. Two teams that not that long ago were down in League One are now well and truly mixing it up in the New South Wales top flight, and they've definitely been two teams to watch this season. For Spirit, it was not too far back that they were top of the pile, but after a rough couple of weeks, they now find themselves chasing league leaders Marconi. As for St. George, they're in a somewhat similar position, albeit a bit further down the ladder. A strong few weeks, which was halted by 2 losses on the bounce, means St. George are in a finals dogfight, and 3 points here today would go a long way towards putting them back in the mix. Will Constantinidis with you here at Christie Park, known to some of us around the NPL community as the Arctic Circle, and it's by no means chilly at all today. Very calm and cool, 20 degrees, clear skies. Hopefully the rain will stay away for us. Fantastic Saturday night of football awaits. Let's get you straight to the team news, starting first with the host, the Spirit. They've been dropping points rather uncharacteristically over the last few weeks. After being undefeated through 9 rounds, they've lost 2 on the bounce, including a shock 3-0 loss away to Olympic last week. Speaking to David Perkovic before the game, he said that they want to make that game a blip on their season and put that Olympic result behind them. Getting in the winner's circle back at home today for what would be just the third time this season would be important for them. Let's run you through their starting 11. In goal, the man with the most clean sheets in the competition, second most clean sheets in the competition is Chris Marks. Number 4, Brady Smith. 6, Corey Kavanagh, captains the side. 7 is Frankie Lucevic. 9, their top scorer, Yu Akubo. 13, Simon Nicholas. 15 is Jamie Pachevsky. 19 is Zane Alawalia. 22, Takumi Ofuka. And the 2 new inclusions from last week, 3 is Kaya Williams, and 10 is Michael Conestavo, a massive in for them. Jordan Perez drops to the bench after starting last week, as does Jacob Chidiak. Also on the bench is Grant Cornwall, Margot Aaron Bassage, Christopher Chen, and Charlie Broomhead. As for St. George FC, Fabian Michelli's side have also lost 2 in a row like Spirit have, but don't let that deceive you as to how good this team has been. They've knocked off some heavy hitters this year, and Michelli's squad is still heavily impacted by injury. He hopes to get a couple of players back over the next couple of weeks, and they might well look to strengthen once the transfer window rolls around. A 4-2 loss last time to United that they'll also be looking to put behind them. Their full starting 11 with just one change, with Caden Wright dropping to the bench. Sunday Yona replaces him, which adds a bit more of an attacking flair to this team. In goal is number 99, Mackenzie Siren. 3, the captain, Troy Didascos. 4 is Mark Rodich. 5, Nicholas Calageru. 6, Pat O'Shea. 8, Evangelo Suris. 10 is Jaden Casella. 14, Justin Poon. 15, Bay Antonio. 27, Jaden Cito. And the new man on the right wing in front of your screen is number 13, Sunday Yona. And with all those formalities out of the way, we've kicked off here. St. George in their traditional red and white strip with the green socks going from left to right on your screen. Spirit in their home yellow and black kit, and a nice little late crowd has poured in to see this one, and Spirit have certainly been entertainers at times this season. They faced a stern test over the last couple of weeks, facing competition heavyweights and last season's grand finalists Marconi and Rockdale in back-to-back weeks. That's always a very difficult task to do, and they walked away with it with just a point. As Simon Nicholas is in that left-back position. Smith sends it back, and now they're in a bit of trouble here, and Chris Marks has to get rid of that. Jaden Casella was hunting for the ball. And Jaden Casella continues his stint as the team's nominal striker. Bay Antonio just playing off him. Those two have been such an excellent pairing for 2025. Casella a mid-season signing, Bay Antonio fresh this year. And after 11 rounds gone, they've combined for a lot of goals this season. Spirit now make their way forward down the wing. There is Zane Alawalia into Connor Starbo. Has a bit of time to turn, but he was shut down. And now Spirit will try and knock the ball around. It's dropped short by Corey Kavanagh. Here's Amy Pachevsky. Now it's Smith. They go from right to left with Nicholas. Kavanagh has his head up on the swivel, looking for that incisive ball towards Connor Starbo, but Connor Starbo gives him the thumbs up. And some nice vision there, and Siren had to be quick off his line. Yona wins the header, but it's only going to be to the benefit of Spirit. Nicholas is in a hurry. Here is Ofuka into his compatriot Uakubo. Having Connor Starbo back into this side does add more attack. It's certainly been looking for goals where Spirit have found it more difficult this season, as Uakubo is unable to control that ball. Troy Danaskos receiving off Justin Poon. Poon himself has been finding the back of the net a lot throughout the season, especially in recent weeks. Ball is switched out towards Calogero. That's a delightful touch forward to continue the attack with Sunday Yona. Yona looking to go at his man, dropping it into Jaden Casella. Touch just evaded Casella at the vital moment, and now Corey Kavanagh can run down the other end. He's tripped up, and that'll be a yellow card for Jaden Casella with just 3 minutes gone. Fabian Michelli is protesting with our referee out in the middle, Stephen Lucas, feeling that a bit early to give out the cards. And they were running down the other end rather quickly, Spirit. Nevertheless, it's now a tightrope that Jaden Casella must walk on for the best part of 87 minutes if he's to see out the full 90. Kavanagh exchanges passes with Smith. Dropping in is Pachevsky. Pachevsky and Kavanagh have anchored this midfield so well for the Spirit. It gives the license to Takumi Ofuka and Michael Conestarbo ahead of them. Kubo is up, but it's well won, and he was in an offside position in any case. Of course, these are two teams that do like to keep the ball. St. George like to press sides, as do the Spirit. So it should make for a fast and entertaining fixture, as Yona has the pace to get around Smith and does so. We'll have to wait for numbers to arrive in support. It's only Casella there. Yona goes down. Half-hearted shouts of penalty. Stephen Lucas wasn't interested, but it just shows the pace that Sunday Yona has on this right wing. Now they can build something, St. George. Lovely pass to Calogero, but he was offside and was unable to wrap his foot around it in any case. And Sunday Yona is, as mentioned, back into the starting 11. He replaces Caden Wright. Wright normally more of a midfielder compared to Yona, who can play across the front three. Sent away by Danaskos at the second attempt. Up goes Pat O'Shea in the middle, headed back forward by Poon, and he's got it back here, and Poon himself has space. These are two fast wingers that St. George have. Poon gets around the first defender. Casella is making that run near post, as is Yona, and they weren't far away from giving up the own goal there, Spirit. All started from some industrious work down the left wing by Justin Poon. He's found the score sheet in his last two games, and that time he was looking to turn provider. Spirit can breathe a sigh of relief that all they've conceded here is a corner. Casella with that in-swinging left-footed delivery. There's two St. George players crowding around Chris Marks. Towards the near post it goes, cleared back out and poked forward by Takumi Ofuka to see away any danger. Cito is in a hurry and didn't want to let that roll out and allow Spirit to reset their defence. They've got back into their structure now, Spirit, as St. George and rocket around the back. Danaskos has his head up into the feet of Antonio, almost had his pocket picked, and now Spirit sensing that they could pile on some pressure deeper in the attacking half. Poon dropping it in short. Antonio was lurking there, as was Danaskos, but Spirit are able to win back possession. Of course, this is the only NPL men's game going on right now. We've got a 7:15 p.m. kickoff featuring the other St. George side a bit later today before a full slate of games on your Sunday afternoon. Marks pokes that long and can only find the sideline, which will please St. George. Cito now into the feet of Rodic and Kalajeru. Spirit looking to box them in. Of course, both sides do like to press high up the park as Danaskos pokes it back into midfield. St. George unable to get through midfield right now. Spirit do so well at controlling games. That's what they've done to a lot of teams this season. That's what they'll want to get back to find the form that took them to the top of the ladder, as St. George are able to progress the ball through midfield now. Souris out to Danaskos. Danaskos looking to poke it forward, intended for Casella. And Jamie Pachewski was right on the spot where he needed to be. As St. George looked to prod holes in this Spirit defence, a defence that has been one of the best in the competition this year. Just 12 goals conceded through their opening 11 games, which makes them the third best defensive side in the league. As Alualia has now picked up the ball in a good area, looking to feed through Okubo, and he was just a little too far away. The touch got away from him there. But that's how fast Spirit can transition. These wing-backs that Spirit have, Zane Alualia and Simon Nicholas, look for them to add extra numbers in this game. As Danaskos, floated ball forward. It'll stay away from Chris Marks, which will force Spirit into a clearance. Yona, back to goal. Cito, out wide to Troy Danaskos, and Spirit, again, you can see their defensive shape is holding strong. They've given up a couple of half chances in these first 10 minutes, but especially that almost own goal. St. George have had more of the ball to start this game, but Spirit will try and pinch it back as they've done so here, forcing an error from the St. George keeper. Nicholas, quick throw forward. Okubo's waiting at the back post. Takumi Ofuka holds up possession. Nicholas floated ball in towards Yu Okubo. Had to rise high, and he was pressured in the end by Cito, who was giving up a bit of height in that matchup, but did well enough to force Yu Okubo into a uncomfortable header. Danaskos continues to join this attack. Now he looks for that pass forward, intended for Poon. And that's smart play over on that far side. Kyle Williams into the side this week, over at that right centre-back position, joining this back three of Pachewski and Brady Smith. Jordan Perez dropped to the bench in his place as now Spirit's turn to try and play out. You can immediately see St. George hounding them. Final touch off a red and white shirt. Nicholas looking for something down the line. Kavanagh. Oh, that's silky work by Corey Kavanagh, and that'll open up the attack for the hosts as he can drive forward into the space afforded to him. It might just deflect its way out to Zayn Alawalia, but Dadaskos temporarily halts the attack. Low-driven cross sent away by Cito. Good touches in midfield by Souris, and now it's sent forward once more. Casella is looking for it. Marks is up here and had to know what he was doing and got that header away from danger. You can just see how much Corey Kavanagh means to this Spirit side. Such tidy work in midfield a moment ago, and he's great at retrieving the ball and winning it back, as now Spirit will have to defend Sunday Yona, who's looked lively to start this game. Yona goes at his man, puts a shot on, but was ultimately flashing high and wide of the goal. These teams met a couple times last season, and both occasions it was the away side that got the win. Back in round 24, it was Spirit walking away with a 2-0 win thanks to 2 goals from their captain, Corey Kavanagh. And that was at the Illingdon Sports Centre, where St George made a temporary home in their first season back in the top flight. And round 9, when they played right here at Christie Park, it was St George that walked away with a 3-1 win. Peter Grozos, who's now left the club with 2 late goals to win. Based on how these sides have played throughout the season, it could be set for some high-scoring affair. We know St George do find the back of the net quite regularly. It's more been about keeping their leads in games that has gotten them into a bit of trouble, but nevertheless they've still done well, as Spirit with some nice play out from the back, and now they can make their way into the attacking third. Kavanagh, low-driven cross. It was Michael Kotasabo who was waiting to tap it in, and St George will make do with a corner. But that'll please David Perkovic greatly, the way they were able to move through the St George press and create something positive out of it. And you have to think that'll be the key for Spirit today, is if they can move through St George, there are goals to be had at the other end. St George are somewhat leaky defensively this season. It's a corner to be delivered. In it comes, it's deep, it's towards the back post, and it's headed back into the mixer. Fuka will keep the attack going, as here is Williams. Fuka again. Alawalia might look for a deep crossing angle here. Onto that preferred right foot. He goes himself, and he snuck it in! What a finish from Zayn Alawalia. Crept it into the corner. And that is a goal to savour for the young right wing back. Had no business scoring from there. You thought he was going to cross it in. He shaped like he was going to do so. Saw Siren was inching forward and placed it into that bottom left corner with great skill there. And Spirit are off the mark first at home. That is some finish from Zayn Alawalia, a player that has come to light this season for the Spirit in a role playing as a right wing back. Another astute signing by Spirit. That's been the story of their season. It's led them to success, is picking up players that and really adding them into the system that David Perkovic has and bringing the best out of them. Here he is again, Alawalia. He plays in the overlap as they floated ball back post, but it's over all and out for the St George goal kick. It just looked like the coolest finish from Zayn Alawalia. It made it look so easy. Now St. George certainly have a bit of work to do. And they have the players that could do the damage. One of them is Bay Antonio. Has Yona alongside him. Antonio. Ball chipped in towards Casella. And then it's another last-ditch clearance at the back. This time by Kaya Williams. Had to get his angles perfect once more. And diving away to deny Jaden Casella another chance. Now Spirit will defend this corner. They did concede a couple set pieces last week against Marconi. No doubt that would have been top of mind for David Perkovic. And now in it goes as Chris Marks has an important and a good fist to it. St. George with Danaskos. Put back inside towards Poon. Alawalia sends that over the sideline. Maybe not as good of a connection as he was hoping to get, but it does clear the danger for the time being. And just taking a look back at that goal from Zane Alawalia on the replay on the stream. I mean, any closer into the bottom corner and he would have hit the post. It was perfect placement. As Antonio looks to answer for St. George, that goes out of and over the sideline. So how will St. George respond? A side that has goals in them. They actually scored the second most goals in the competition this season. 21 in their opening 11, a very handy clip. The trio of Poon, Casella and Antonio especially. Marks goes for distance and it'll go right up towards where Okubo is. He's won the header there, but Spirit have to defend. They've seen it away for the time being. Now here is Afuka. St. George will recycle possession. Sito goes back to his keeper. Zurus. St. George looking for a way through at the moment. They're just patient with their build-up. You can see they're not going to be hurried, but they'll now march their way up with a throw. Danaskos. Zane Alawalia. That goal, his second of the campaign. He did score a couple of weeks back, or a few weeks back rather, in round 4 against the other St. George team, St. George City. That was in a 2-0 win right here at Christie Park. So he loves a goal in the Arctic Circle against the team from St. George, Zane Alawalia. Kavanagh, incisive pass forward, finds the feet of Takumi Ofuka. I'll go backwards now. Smith. And this is where Spirit will like to just continue to assert their dominance in this game. A looping pass forward for Zane Alawalia. Might just get to him though, and as it's bouncing around now, it falls to his feet, and the game has settled into a bit more of a natural rhythm now. 20 minutes gone. It's Zane Alawalia's second goal of the season that has Spirit in front, as now Contestavo looks to get involved. We haven't seen too much of him early. Nicholas cutting inside. Good pass forward. Contestavo gets to the byline as he flips it up, but it goes over. But again, it's more patient play from Spirit. Simon Nicholas could have gone for the cross himself, but saw that Contestavo was making a diagonal run across the back line and had a better pass ahead of him. So Mackenzie Siron will launch this one forward. He ushers the St. George defenders up the pitch. Casella will be in the end. It's always going to be the underdog, but Williams' header might invite Bay Antonio. Yona, important first touch, keeps St. George in the attack. Poon rather drops it back to Danaskos. Now Casella has it taken off him. St. George not really giving an inch in midfield. That's the battle that they want to win. And speaking to David Perkovic before the game, he said that the biggest difference he feels between the spirit of 2025 versus the spirit of 2024 is that his team this year can win without having majority of the ball. And last year they would have needed to control possession and play the game on their terms. He said that they can win with what teams give them, and so far they're doing exactly that. It's been an even game possession-wise, but St. George had more of the ball early. And Spirit's first major shot was a goal. So now they look to keep more of the ball. And the key will be is if they can add more goals to what has been a pretty solid defence. They're, as mentioned, only third in terms of goals conceded, but it's on the other end of the ball in attack where they've found it more difficult. As Nicholas will pick up a nice throw kick for his team and slow the game down a little bit. But yeah, just speaking about Spirit, it's been some time since they scored more than one goal in a game. That was back in round 5, actually, when they won 3-2 against the Wanderers. A lot of 1-0s, a lot of 1-1 draws. A couple of 2-1 losses in there after they lost to Marconi as well. And a 3-0 loss last week against Sydney Olympic. So it's, if they can get this attack firing with the exceptional defence that they've built, they'll be no doubt back in contention for the premiership. They're only 6 points behind coming into the round, of course. Still early days. That gap is, as Spirit will know from where they stood a couple of weeks ago, that's something that can be caught up very, very quickly. Marks launches this one. This will go right up towards the box here. Kubo just a bit too eager in the back of Jaden Sito. Williams has Jaden Casella hunting for the ball. Those two are going shoulder to shoulder as Williams sends that out over the sideline. Now St. George will try and build out as we inch over past the halfway point of this first half. It's been a tactical battle back and forth between two of the more interesting sides in the competition. Two certainly of the most surprising sides where you look at where teams and were stacking up before the season started. Spirit, you would have been hard pressed to find people that would have put Spirit as a top 6 side before the season started. Now they're well and truly up there. St. George, a lot would have put in that lower mid-table bracket. Now they're competing for a final spot. Sent long as Williams knocks it back down as Antonio now for Spirit, or St. George. Spirit defending. It's good football by St. George as they break down the wing. Poon. Yona is back post. That's where he looks to go, but it's into the chest of Chris Marks, and more industrious work down the wing by Justin Poon. His speed and directness combined with Yona's speed on the wing as well makes St. George a very interesting proposition in attack. And then you add Bay Antonio into the mix and Casella, who could do just about everything from that striker position. Akubo, nice turn in traffic. Might just fall to Cottestavo as it pinballs to the benefit of St. George. And now St. George bring it back on the deck and they can start controlling the ball. Rodic, his header goes backwards, which might invite a bit of pressure. Danaskos sends his ball over the sideline, and now Spirit will have an attack deep in, or just over, sorry, enemy territory. Spirit on the hunt for a second goal, which would be great at this point of the game for them. Extend their lead. Akubo turns and shoots, and he was shut down by St. George defenders. They did well to crowd the box there. As Casella goes down under pressure. No foul is the call from the Spirit bench as they now pinch the ball in a good area. Ofuka goes into the box, and Nicholas, or Lucevic, sorry. As David Perkovic is pleading that there was a foul before the ball went out. Rodic marshalling the troops at the back for St. George. He wants his side to tighten up defensively, and now there's space all over that right wing for Spirit as Kavanagh moves it out to Alawalia, but the pass was just a little overhit. Williams goes back to Cornwall. Spirit continue to look comfortable in the ball. Now it's sent forward. Nicholas bombing on from that left wing back position, but he got too far forward and gets whistled for offside. St. George looking for a response here. They haven't been too far away from scoring, in all honesty, as now they go intended for centrally as Casella goes down. Big shouts for a penalty waved away by Stephen Lucas, and again it's that left wing for St. George, which is proving to be a consistent avenue towards goal. Poon is really making things happen on the left wing, as is Sunday Yona. So they can play to their wing, St. George. That's seemingly where their strength is in this game against Spirit. Pachevsky goes inside, rides the challenge. Foul is whistled, much to the frustration of St. George, who felt that they were out of the woods. And now Stephen Lucas has a bit of housekeeping to take care of. A few players crowding the ball. It'll be a St. George free kick in a pretty decent position. This is a nice crossing angle for a nice crossing position for JB Pachevsky. Frankie Lucevic stands over it, two in the wall. Floated and curling, and curls out of bounds. Frustrating end there for Spirit. 15 minutes to go in the first half. It's still Zane Alawali's second goal of the season. That is the difference. See Spirit just trying to shut down those avenues into midfield for St. George. Calageru goes back to Rodic. Cito. Rodic again. Looking for that crossfield switch as Alawali had dropped deep in anticipation of it, but it's a good touch by Poon. Alawalia has to clear out over the sideline, and you can see they're really targeting that left-hand side of the attack, St. George. That's the thing with Spirit. They do have these wing-backs, but when they get forward, it might leave some gaps to exposed at the back. Naskos will retake this throw from close to where he took it initially. Antonio has it back, but it's slipped away from him there, and now Uakubo has to just play back to his back line because there wasn't all that much ahead of him. He was the furthest man forward after Spirit had sat in.
Skip line, skip line.
Nicholas. Conestabo and Nicholas. This is good from Spirit, but St. George are hunting for the ball, as now it's pinched away by Bay Antonio, and there's challenges flying in, and Stephen Lucas shows the yellow card to Bay Antonio for lashing out his foot there, and now Casella is in the mix, and Stephen Lucas has to sort things out again, and Bay Antonio was just protesting there. And now that's two of Spirit's attackers that are on yellows, Antonio and Casella. Spirit have the ball rolling again, and a very interesting little moment there on the sideline. Our FX mic might have picked that up. It was right in front of us in our commentary position. O'Shea moves it forward, and now this is where St. George can break the pace of Poon, which has been a thorn in this Spirit defence all night as he breaks forward into the box, cutting it back for Antonio, and it eventually finds its way in, via the way of deflection, and Bay Antonio, the bow and arrow, is firing again. He makes it goals in back-to-back games as St. George equalise 10 minutes before half-time. And again, we spoke about it earlier, it's Justin Poon down that wing. He found a bit of space to work with, cut it back for Antonio. And he needed no further invitation, takes a big deflection on its way through. But I think he'll be credited with the goal nonetheless. And that's goal number 8 on the year. Bay Antonio, the new signing to the club this season. And what a signing he has been, especially in this role he's playing. Just off the striker. Him and Casella have combined so well. And interestingly now, after that goal from Bay Antonio, it's Poon, Casella and Antonio have been responsible for all of the last 10 St. George FC goals. Those three men responsible for all 10, which goes to show how instrumental they are to this attack. And now we have a very intriguing game on our hands. As mentioned, Spirit, it's been some time since they've scored more than one goal in a game. Yona, flag is down. He has Casella with him. This could be a big chance here for St. George to go into the lead. And Chris Marks, that is outstanding goalkeeping. He read the cutback at the perfect moment. He shut down the opportunity for Casella. Knew that Sunday Yona was looking to play in his number 10. He took a big risk diving for the cutback. If Yona had faked that pass instead of following through with it, Marks would have been overcommitted and left an empty net. And he took the risk and he was rewarded there. The Spirit goalkeeper. Yona. Antonio. That move breaks down and it'll be a Spirit throw just inside the half. Nicholas has the throw. 10 minutes remaining plus stoppages. We might have a couple of those due to those 2 yellow cards and goals. Kubo moves it on. That's a good pass into Kavanagh. He's taken down, but there was enough of the ball there. And now this is troubling signs for Spirit and Uakubo. Their leading man this season is now down on the deck. And now this is an important juncture for both coaches just to talk things over. We're going to a critical period just before the break. Neither side will want to concede here. Makubo is back on his feet, seems all right to continue. Didn't need to receive treatment. David Perkovic imploring his troops that he feels like they need more energy than what they have right now, as here is Bay Antonio, the goal scorer. Cito. Poon has to play short, and a loose pass will invite Alawalia with Afuka. Has to sandwich his way through a couple of St. George defenders. He's unable to do so. Antonio, good pass. And now St. George move forward. Casella, if the bounce is kind to him, he might get to it. And Marks goes in strong. Had Casella underneath him. And now there's shouts from both benches here. St. George are feeling that Marks came over the top illegally of Casella. The referee has stopped play. A potential head knock for Casella, which is why they've stopped play. And now we'll have more stoppage, and again, this is more cause for concern. This time on the Spirit bench, sorry, St. George bench, Jada Casella is down. He's another player that's been instrumental to them this season. 4 goals to his name, countless assists as well. We'll see whether St. George will make a sub. It doesn't look like they're calling anyone over from the subs that are warming up away to our right. Casella will make the slow walk off the pitch, but he should be all right to continue. Stephen Lucas certainly has his hands full tonight.
Get organised, Spirit! Hey, get in! Ready!
Casella will enter the fray again. Now he goes on, he's all right. It's a game played in played good intensity this game so far as Casella drops it in, but it's taken away. There is Jamie Pachevsky, who's had a lot to do, as has the Spirit backline. They'll be disappointed with some of the opportunities they've given up. We've seen them open up a little tonight, especially on the wings. 5 minutes plus extras remaining in the first half. It's a goal apiece. Zane Alawalia and Bay Antonio. Yona will go up for this alongside Nicholas, and Yona did get ahead to it, but Calagero isn't quick enough to beat Conestabo to the ball, as now it's floated forward into midfield with Suris. And now challenges are flying in here, and now there's another yellow card going to be shown. This time Michael Conestabo goes into the book. That's the 3rd yellow card, first for Spirit now. And this is a very physical game. Now St. George looking to build some momentum away from home. They've been okay away from home. I mean, they've only lost twice away from Barton Park this season, a win and 2 draws to go with that as well. Their only win away from home, actually, was in the St. George derby at Penshurst Park against St. George City. So looking to make it their second win away for Barton Park this season. For now, they'll have to defend. Okubo is out on the wing, twisting and turning. Floated ball into the area. Calogero clears it away. And now Spirit will recycle possession. Nicholas can't get past his man. That'll be Spirit's ball. Right in front of where the St. George supporters are stationed. They didn't like that one too much, to say the least. However, throw deep in the attack here. Afuka with two St. George players for company. Has to move the ball on now. He's got it back in a tight space. Nothing doing on the foul as it's hoofed over onto the second field behind us. As it looks like we'll have some time added on soon. Waiting confirmation from our fourth official. Alana Zich in front of us. Alawalia now. Ofuka in a bit of space. Spirit looking to get a second goal just before the break. How they'd love that to head into the sheds at half time as Alawalia moves it in but can't clear the first defender. Oh, it's a lovely bit of skill by Frankie Lucevic to keep the attack moving. He had no right to get through there, and now they're both sliding in. Lucevic and Souris. Here is Souris. Now he has his head up, looking down the line. That's asking a lot of Sunday Yona. And Jamie Pachewski was always favoured as he moves it back to his keeper. And frustrating into that attack there. For Spirit, that attack breaking down. See how much time is added on. You think we'd have at least 2 or 3 minutes. 3 yellow cards and 2 goals as the Spirit Juniors find their voice now, trying to cheer on their side. Pinched away by Cottestabo. This could be positive. Cito, an important challenge there. Fuka was joining the attack. Here is Cottestabo, goes down under the challenge, and that's a quick whistle. An easy call there for Stephen Lucas.
Preparation, Frankie! Preparation!
Alawalia. Kaya Williams. Okubo is inside. Yona tracking back. The winger doing his defensive duties. Nicholas. Smith. Nicholas. This is good from Spirit. They're just keeping St. George pinned back for the time being. They want to make the most of this, though, as we into the final minute of regulation time. Smith. Has to go all the way back as St. George can set their defence a little higher now. Cottestabo is in there, gets the touch, but maybe not the one he would have wanted. Okubo is still hunting. And Okubo is offside, much to the frustration of the Spirit bench. Lovely skill as Poon continues to go forward. He's kept that ball in. He has the pace to go. Be 2 minutes of time added on as St. George are on the attack. Disguised pass. Bay Antonio maybe looking for a second. Tries to keep it in, but just one touch that got away from him. So Spirit, you think we'll just try and see it out to half time. I think both teams will take the scoreline as is going into the break. They've had their moments in this game, both of them, but there are certainly clear improvement areas that they'll look at as they go into the break. Spirit, it's been their defence at times, has but a little bit loose, which has invited space on the wings for St. George. As for St. George, it's about getting through this Spirit team in midfield. As Yona tries to go over the top, they don't get it to him on that occasion, as here is Lucevic. Splits the defenders, and they have a bit of room to work with. Bailey Smith. Jamie Pachewski. Williams is sliding away to keep that in. Alawalia comes off the toes of Danaskos. Into the final minute, you'd think, of the first half. Still a goal apiece. It's Zane Alawalia's early goal, which was cancelled out by Bay Antonius. Siron has to go long under pressure. Danaskos, bouncing ball was difficult to control. This might be the last attack of the half. We won't have time for it though. And so at the halftime break here at Christie Park, it stands a goal apiece. Very intriguing second half awaits. I've been Wilcott Standardidis with you for the first half. We'll see you back soon on the other side of this quick break. Welcome back to the second half of football here at Christie Park. A goal apiece as we venture forward into the second half. A bit of Bob Marley around the ground for you at halftime. Shout out to whoever is on the playlist over in the Spirit Clubhouse. If they are watching, please pass on my thanks. Some fantastic halftime music going, and Spirit will no doubt be looking to try and build here. Conestabo will try and track this down early. A good attack forward here for Spirit. It's towards the back post. Nicholas was there. And it goes towards the box, cleared away, and it was a very interesting first half. Both teams, as mentioned, had their moments in the game. Spirit with the early goal. Zayn Alawalia's fantastic finish that caught Siren off guard as Sunday Yoda could drive forward. He has the pace to cause problems for a defence, and he's well marshalled in the end. A strong challenge in, but there's no complaints about it. It was all ball from Corey Kavanagh. Now he has to get back in midfield as St. George were moving through the middle of the park. Conestabo unable to keep that one in. Now they'll move the ball around the back. We saw a bit of this from St. George. Both teams really have had their chances. Keeping the ball, it's been a bit of your turn, my turn in possession. Suris. You can see Spirit just trying to crowd that midfield, bunch numbers in there, make it difficult for the likes of Suris and O'Shea. Conestabo, now they try and break forward. Afuka beats his man with a lovely touch. Akubo will have to stay on side. Instead they go out wide to avoid the flag. It's with Simon Nicholas now who's joined the attack. He tries to dance his way into the box. He's temporarily halted. Nicholas. Now it goes out of play and the attack is thwarted. As mentioned, this is a St. George team that is suffering from a lot of injuries. A lot of players that will be coming back over the next month or so, which will boost the depth that Fabian Michelli has. It's been a real feature of St. George at times this season where they might have taken the lead in games or looked good and then faded away as teams just are able to use the depth that they have. And with the injuries St. George have, there's not too many first grade outfield players that they have on the bench. A lot of 20s players filling out the squad today. They might get their chance to try and stake a place for the first grade side. And so far they've given a good account of themselves against a team that's in the hunt for the premiership this season. Speaking of Fabian Michelli, he felt that their game against Sydney United last week was their worst performance of the season, or one of their worst. He said that when they play games, even if they lose, they want to put in a good performance on the pitch and fight, make it difficult for teams to take points off them, and he felt that they didn't do that. And they're well and truly giving Spirit a good run for their money away from home at the moment. Lovely pass by Suris, splitting the defenders for Bay Antonio. Troy Danaskos and Antonio again, trying to break through this midfield line of St. George. They have to go all the way back to their defensive line. Here is Rodic. Casella has it taken off him now, Afuka. Back Spirit go, and now it's their turn to try and build out from the back. It's been a very intriguing game from that perspective. The different approaches these sides have to trying to build out and press. Spirit with their back three, St. George operating with a back four, but you'll see Troy Danaskos, you get a better look at him here now. He's on the near side of the pitch. Look out for him as he inverts and joins the attack in midfield, adds an extra number in there.
Coordinate the press. Coordinate it.
Meanwhile, Alawalia and Simon Nicholas will bomb forward from the wings for Spirit. And it's that space on the wings that St. George have looked to exploit.
At what point? At what point?
There is Danaskos inverting right on cue.
Simon, fuck's sake.
Yona touches away from him, and now you can see the second the ball moves into midfield, the intensity shifts into another gear from both these teams, sensing that that is where the battle is. Okubo felt that he was held up. Spirit still have the ball. It's with Pachevsky. Sorry, Lucevic, now Pachevsky. Smith out to Nicholas, and now Spirit are trying to work their way down the wing of Fuka. Unable to keep the ball in the field of play. St. George, they can get the ball to the wing here. There's space to work with, but it's shut down in midfield. Good work by Michael Conestabo. And now it's Spirit's turn to switch the point of the attack. Alawalia and Danaskos are in a foot race, and Alawalia pokes it over the sideline. Williams into Lucevic. Afuka around the quarter pass intended for Yuo Kubo. The idea was right. It was defended well by St. George, and now they have ideas of building a counter. Bay Antonio, Cusello is in the box for him. He goes direct. And Chris Marks, that'll be catching practice for the Spirit Gloveman. You might have heard that on the effects mic. David Berkovich coaching young Zayn Alawalia through that one. Felt like he should be more vocal when calling for the ball, and that puts it in simpler and less colourful terms than the way it was expressed. Now Spirit are in a corner here as Alawalia hooks that into the box. There's no one really contesting that though, and St. George will nod that out of danger. Williams goes back to Marks, and now the press is coming from Casella. Splits it past Casella, and Yona is there joining the press. Spirit do well to play out, and they might benefit from this. Numbers are committed. Nicholas, low-driven cross away by Rodic. Yona drops it short, and St. George see off another attack, but they've given it up here. A good shot on. Lovely save by Mackenzie Siren. It was a good hit by Corey Kavanagh, a man that's no stranger to scoring against St. George FC. There's 2 goals against them last time these two teams met. An acrobatic effort by Mackenzie Siren. Got a big left hand to it. And now the cross will come in. There's numbers all in the box for the Spirit. It's right to where Siren is. He has to faff at it. It falls back to Yuo Kubo. That could have gone just about anywhere in the box. Now it's nodded out towards Afuka. Lumped back into the area. Danaskos heads clear. Only as far as Takumi Afuka. Lashed at his shot, but made good enough connection with it. And now St. George find themselves under the pump a little bit to start this second half. You see Spirit trying to press them down this wing. They force the error though, and that'll please the Spirit bench greatly. It has the crowd into the game as well. Alawalia is told to just creep back a little bit. Lucevic gives the call to try and squeeze in Poon, and they've won the throw here on the sideline. Danaskos, long throw over the top, nothing doing. Gets a toe onto it, it's with Antonio. O'Shea, now Suris. Floated ball in as Calogero joins midfield from the back. Some silky touches there. Poon has stayed on side, the flag is down. Danaskos looking for the cross. Now the cross will come in from Jaden Casella. You can see St. George have put two players always on where Siron is. Trying to crowd the box for the Spirit keeper. Casella towards the near post. It'll come back out. Falling out to Suris, and he didn't quite get the required connection on that, but he'll stay with St. George for the time being. They'll have to recycle the ball though. Nothing doing ahead of them. Here is Chris Marks. Sorry, Mackenzie Siren. Chris Marks is down the other end at the moment. Ball is looped into the night sky. Danaskos. Good touches by Casella. Gets the second one though, which will keep them going with the throw. Danaskos down the line. Poon. Him and Alawalia have good pace between them, but Poon gets the better of him this time. Now he goes to the byline, cutting it back for Casella. A beautiful goal by St. George. And Justin Poon's pace continues to pay dividends down the wing. And this time it's Casella that's the beneficiary. An easy tap in for Jaden Casella. Won't have too many easier finishes than that. And St. George, after trailing, now find themselves 2-1 up away from home. And just taking a look back on the replay, it's again that pace of Justin Poon getting right behind the defence, right to the byline. Casella made the run deep from midfield. He wasn't picked up and had an open net to aim for. And again, it's that combination between Poon and Casella and Antonio. Those three men have now combined for each of Spirit's last 11 goals, as now the intensity starts to rise around Christie Park. It is a phenomenal stat. All the last 11 goals scored by the same three men. Shows how well the St. George attack has been firing despite the injuries they have. Players will be coming back soon though. Now Conestabo has got the jump on St. George as Danaskos goes to ground cleanly. There'll be a corner coming. Frankie Lucevic to deliver. Put a couple of good balls in so far. Spirit will be looking to capitalise. As mentioned, it's been some time since they've scored more than just a goal in a game. Floated in towards Siren. Didn't get his two hands able to catch it. And now it's a sigh of relief for St. George as they get a free kick. Danaskos. St. George looking to add a third here, which would be a crushing blow. Here is Poon again. He's been making it happen. And he's won his side a throw. It was very close to a corner, but no doubt didn't quite cross the goal line. Just under an hour gone at Christie Park, and it's Jaden Casella's goal in the second half a couple minutes ago. That's the difference. Antonio tries to fashion something. He was hopeful of maybe a half shot, half cross Maybe looking to get Sunday Yona involved at the back post, but a bit too close to Marks.
Jake's got to be you. Don't let it down now, Jake. Fire Paddy. Marky, can you step? Marky, can you step?
We'll see which of the two coaches goes to the bench first in hopes of changing this game. Nicholas goes down the line. Akubo is up there, but unable to beat Rodic in the air. Great night for football here at Christie Park. We've been treated to a great game. Still not done yet. Thankfully, the rain has stayed away for us as Kotostabo moves it on for Afuka. Now it's Spirit's turn to attack down the wing. Takubi Afuka deflected cross in, and it ultimately came off Michael Kotostabo.
Higher! Taki high! Half, half! Let's go!
Yona is in a bit of space here and can get behind the Spirit defence if he's able to beat the first defender. Instead, it's back with Casella, was looking for Bay Antonio. Spirit break up that attack, and now Afuka is out wide. Strong challenge by Rodic. Had to get his timing right, and did. A small foul in the build-up. St. George will keep the ball. Cito will have to run to track this down, but easy enough in the end. It's with Poon and Cito. Siron. Antonio is up, comes off his shoulder. It'll fall for Spirit, but it's back up into the sky. No one near Evangelos Souris. He could easily bring that down with little pressure. Rodic. Now his turn to go long. Casella, not known for being an aerial prowess, but he knocked down the ball there. Alawalia. Cito wins the ball not once but twice, and he won it cleanly. Antonio.
Sunday, get in again, lad. Sunday, get in. We're ready?
Alawalia looking for options. Stephen Lucas just telling him to make no further progress as Didascos sends it over the top, and now Marks will let that bounce back into his box. Touch was a little bit loose, and Casella is there hunting. Ooh, he was almost caught on the blind side there. Chris Marks dealt with it well enough in the end. Now Akubo might have sprung the offside trap here as Siren waits for it to enter the box, and it's better from Spirit there. Cito now with Rodic. Antonio has his pocket picked, and Afuka could drive forward. Met strongly by a couple of St. George defenders, and that attack comes to a quick end for Spirit. Now they have to worry about the other side of the ball as Yoda is bursting forward, has good pace, and the pass was just a little high. An awkward touch in the end for the young St. George winger. Danaskos nods it down. Conestopo with an important touch as it's really back and forth stuff now. The more controlled possession that we had in the first half has now picked up another level. Spirit will be making a double change soon. Harry Keys will be among those coming on. Alawalia now touches a little heavy. He might be able to keep it in. Danaskos will shield it in hopes that it goes out for a goal kick. Spirit will try and press to win it back in a good area here. Meanwhile, Poon is on the wing. St. George ball. Now they'll make that sub. So Jacob Chidiak and Harry Keys will enter the game in place of Takumi Ofuka and Michael Konostabo. So a couple of fresh legs on here for David Perkovic as they try and change this game. Poon, essentially for Antonio. Chidiak's first touches. Kavanagh and Alawalia, a good pass down the line. Keys is bursting forward, has the fresh legs to try and create something. Awkward clearance, but it's going to do the job well enough. Alawalia picks up the scraps, looking to maybe create something here for Spirit, sensing a change of momentum. Keys, Alawalia can hit them. We've seen him do that already. That one was on his left. Nicholas. Chidiak. Now Spirit will try and change the focus of the attack from the left side, maybe out to the right. It's with Williams and Alawalia. Williams. Here is Kavanagh. Awkward pass for Lucevic, but he does well. Gets through one defender. Now he can look centrally. Goes the shot himself. Was always rising though. You might have heard that picked up on our FX mic. He's imploring his team to keep playing football as now Mackenzie Siren gets the hurry up from Stephen Lucas. Chidiak chests it down and Kavanagh. Keys is making his move forward and it's picked off by Danaskos as now they've lost the ball again, St. George. Contrasting messages from the bench. David Perkovic telling his side not to get desperate, to keep the ball and stay patient in possession. Meanwhile, Fabian Michelli is feeling his side slipping from what got them this lead as they've been turning over possession a bit more frequently than they were in the first half. Casella battles away with Kyle Williams and there's been no shortage of physicality in this game. And looks like St. George might be going to the bench for their first change of the game. Sprayed out wide to Nicholas. He's able to bring it under his control, but he's tripped up by Yoda. Had ideas of running down the other end. Now that sub will come. Sunday Yona. He's worked hard. Been part of this pacey wing tandem of Sunday Yona and Justin Poon. So Yona will take his early mark. He'll be replaced by Thomas Dunn. And Yona's in no hurry. I think he's actually gotten away with one there. He was over on the right side of the pitch, maybe 5 metres away from the sideline. And usually when that happens, you might see referees tell players to go over that side of the pitch, but he's stuck over and taken the long way round. And I think it's still a bit early to think about killing time off the clock for St. George. The Spirit are on the attack here and do have goals in them. Danaskos curls that round the sideline for Dunn. Touch was a bit awkward. Williams. Chesky, and now Spirit will try and play as Poon wins it back. Well, Bounce got the better of Chidiac there, and now Poon has pace to get over the top. Will try and beat Spirit to the ball, and out comes Chris Marks. Touch was heavy. Suris. O'Shea, this is better from St. George. Antonio and Caligeru. Now it's out to Casella, who's moved to the wing. Thomas Dunn has gone up front. Pat O'Shea. Good play by Bay Antonio. Touch, he gets around the keeper. And they're coming together between Chris Marks and his defender there. There'll be some treatment coming. No treatment needed. Corner will recommence. So Jada Casella is over on that other side, looking to deliver. Numbers are all in the 6-yard box, and now Stephen Lucas has to make sure there's nothing untoward happening in there. Casella to deliver. St. George in the lead with under 20 to go. It's his goal that's the difference right now. In it comes. It's high and it's deep. Danaskos is back there. Puts it back into the mixer. And it's headed in on goal by Bay Antonio. Immediately knew that was a good look. And it's all only into the hands of Chris Marks.
Danny Bay with you here, boys.
Cito on the back of Keys. Dunn is pressing for St. George. Spirit have to go back to Marks. Kubo is up, but unable to connect. Cito. Now Spirit's turn to press. Caligeru is forced backwards. Chidiac is hot on his heels. And St. George tried to play out, but just ran out of real estate over on that right wing. St. George might be going to the bench soon. Caden Wright might be entering as Alawali has a strike, and he's hit the post. It wasn't far away at all from getting his second, and he couldn't have struck the post any cleaner. It came right back from that same shooting angle, and that time he was on his left foot there, Zane Alawalia. Just like his first goal, I don't think too many had expected him to shoot from there. Keys on the ball now, has it taken off him as Kavanagh tried to find him. And that's great work by Corey Kavanagh. Just won't get too much from it though, and he might have strained himself there going for it. And now Stephen Lucas is going to have a bit of an extended chat here to David Perkovic. Meanwhile, Caden Wright will be entering the game. Substitution will now be confirmed. Looks like Evangelo Suris is slowly making his way off. He's had a tough old night in midfield. And now they go like for like in the middle. So Caden Wright, fresh set of legs into the middle of the park to try and get some control over the Spirit midfield that have been looking a little more dangerous as the game has gone on. Still plenty of time remaining for Spirit to find an equalizer and more, or equally for St. George to extend their lead to 2. I think with how tight this game has been, a 2-goal lead at this stage of the game might be a little much. And now Mackenzie Siren is given a yellow card by Stephen Lucas for taking a bit too long. He was warned last time and now he's been punished. Danaskos with the throw right in front of us here in our commentary position. Going down the line. Now this will attract some attention. Danaskos went in over the top and Keys undercut him a little bit there. And that was right in front of the St. George bench. Not the best area to commit a foul in front of the opposing team's bench. Always followed with lots of complaints.
There's no attempt to play the ball there at all.
This is a good position potentially for St. George to take a free kick. A deep cross, a good angle as well. Bay Antonio is all over it. Spirit have set their line high and Poon has gotten in behind. Now he goes for the cross and sliding away to deny him. It was Brady Smith. Time is certainly the friend of the visitors right now. As the rain begins to fall. And we'll see if that adds any spills or thrills into this game. Just a light sprinkle at the moment, but nevertheless it has started. And a bit of extra zip around the synthetic here as Casella stands over the corner. It's a flat delivery. Seen away at the first attempt. Casella will get another go at it. This time he goes short. Antonio tries to whip it in himself, but it was curling over everyone. It was almost awkward for Marks, but it was onto the roof of the net in the end. Akubo, an important flick on. Keys will still be in the play. Sent up into the sky. This will be awkward for Danaskos, but he makes a good enough effort at it, and Rodic had a lot more time than that touch suggested. And from what was a fairly innocent attack and what seemed simple for St. George to deal with has now turned into a Spirit corner. Lucevic over it. Lucevic onto the penalty spot. Seen away by Cito, and now St. George have to reset the defensive line. Antonio goes in strong. A reminder that Bay Antonio and Jaden Casella are on yellow cards they got in the first half. Casella picked up his one inside 3 minutes, and he's been walking a tightrope ever since. Good touch forward by Bay Antonio, and now Poon is on the other side. It's a straight 3-on-3 here for St. George. A chance to add a third goal. Jaden Casella. Shot was blocked. Corey Kavanagh has called to the bench for a sub. We saw him strain his hamstring at the moment, a little moment ago. Now, the captain has soldiered on, but he's about to be brought off here. You can see him stretching here. Doesn't quite look as sprightly as he did before. He's put in a good pass, though. And Siron takes no chances. Sent it away from goal, but the attack hasn't finished. Grant Cornwall will come in. Dunn trying to make a nuisance of himself and be a bit of a pest up front for the Spirit defence. The rain falling a bit heavier now. You can see it in the floodlights at the top of your screen. It's been a great Saturday. We could be set for a good finish here as Bay Antonio wins the ball back. And Bay Antonio, he's already on a yellow here. He's been whistled for the foul. I don't think a yellow card will be coming his way. There were some big complaints about it from the St. George bench away to our left. Kyle Williams tries to shake it off. And now the substitute comes. So Corey Kavanagh, that's a forced change as Cornwall goes into the back line. Or midfield, rather. He goes into the back. Brady Smith might go up further forward into midfield. It could be set for a wet and wild final 10 minutes or so. Strap yourselves in. Spirit hunting down this deficit they find themselves in. They'd be staring down the barrel of 3 straight losses after spending their first 9 games undefeated. Okubo, good shot in by Chidiac, palmed away. It's fallen back to Alawalia, who crosses back towards goal. St. George survived that one. Cornwall pokes it out towards Nicholas. Poon, this time doing his defensive duties. St. George, you think we'll see whether they sit back a little deeper here, which might invite further pressure. Loose touches, Dunn is hunting for it. It was Pachevsky. Marks slices his clearance forward as Danaskos puts it back into the sky. Aerial ping pong, back and forth in midfield. Bay Antonio is heavily pressured and has won himself a foul. And gets some nice cheers from the travelling St. George contingent. They're looking to take another some important 3 points back down to St. George. Something they've only been able to do on one other occasion this season. That was against their crosstown rivals. Wright has the ball taken away from him, and now Keys is looking to go over the top. Akubo is in there as well. Away is the call from Siron, and it's sent back out over the goal line. It'll be another Spirit corner. Lucevic standing over the ball. What do Spirit have from a set piece? Under 10 minutes to go, plus stoppages. Lucevic. This time it's a driven delivery towards the back post. A good look at it from Jamie Pachevsky. There's a man that has scored goals this season. Has the height to cause problems. He's the tallest man on the pitch. Now Spirit go again. This time something maybe from the training ground. Alawalia, a deeper cross in towards Akubo, but it's sent away. Casella is a lone man up top. Wright joins him and now was looking to return the favour. Antonio, more numbers forward for St. George. Looking for the potential dagger, but that's great defending by Grant Cornwall using his experience. Smith in his new role in midfield. And Nicholas. Spirit will remain patient, not going to be rushed. They won't just simply lump the ball into the box in hopes of a low percentage opportunity. They'll try and work their way in there, create something meaningful. They haven't been too far away at times in the second half. Siren has been forced into a couple of decent saves. Here is Keys. Looking to get to the byline, touch was a little heavy. Right, and Mackenzie Siren is on a yellow card, so it can't take too much time. Another substitute is being prepared by David Perkovic down to our right. We'll update you on that in a moment. Meanwhile, Spirit are on the attack. Caden Wright bullies his way through midfield, and now they could take the ball forward. Antonio looking to slice through the defence. Those fresh legs making a difference so far. Caden Wright in midfield. They've needed that to try and close out this game. Still plenty of time to go. Antonio tries the shot himself, and Chris Marks saw that easily all the way. Alawalia now has his work to do. The Spirit try and play out from the back. Pachevsky. Now Spirit go over the top. Chidiac is the intended target, and Rodic touch invited a bit of pressure, and now that double change is coming. Marco Arambasic and Charlie Broomhead. Brady Smith comes off, as does Kyle Williams, so a couple of attacking-minded substitutions there. Alawalia over the throw. Goes in short to Keys. Now Alawalia pokes it through a couple of defenders. Cornwall and St. George have to get it out of play to prevent the corner. Lucevic. Good ball into the area. Tough control by Uakubo. Was asking a lot there, and now St. George can reset their defence. Cornwall. Alawalia has time to turn. Uakubo is in the middle, and that's where he goes. Uakubo, a good pass forward. This could be it for Spirit, but the flag is up. And just as Marko Arambasic thought that he came off the bench to get the vital equaliser, a quick flag up from the assistant denies him. But that was such positive play from Spirit. It all started with Alawalia finding the pass to Uakubo, who just dropped off the line, invited pressure. And that left Marko Arambasic to dart forward. It was a very close offside in the end, but there was no doubt from the assistant. The flag was up before Arambasic even got his shot away. Casella is fouled, and Grant Cornwall is going to be carded here. Now we're at the threat of this game reaching a boiling point here. There's plenty of yellow cards out at the moment. The rain adds a bit of intensity combined with the fact it's only a goal in it. The big travelling St. George contingent away to our left, making plenty of noise alongside the home St. George fans. Oh, and Jaden Casella is wearing the crimson mask right now. He's been cut open here. Oh my. That is, I'm not sure if our stream might have caught that, but he's bleeding very heavily, and he's wiped his. He's not looking in a right way right now, Jaden Casella. He's sitting very gingerly around now. You can see he's trying to get back on. He doesn't seem to be in a good way right now. I'd be shocked if he's allowed to come back on here, Jaden Casella. He is not looking the best right now, to say the least. Not just with the blood, but he's looking very unsure on his feet. So Javier Rodriguez will be entering very soon. St. George are now down to 10 for the time being. They had ideas of trying to create a goal. Under 5 minutes remaining here at Christie Park. Set for a good one. St. George looking to get back in the winner's circle after 2 losses in a row. Spirit on the other end of those 2 losses. This could be a 3rd loss in as many games. Lucevic stretching, unable to keep it in the feet of Spirit. Bursting through was Pachevsky to win it back, and now another wave of attack is building. How much can St. George defend? Will they be able to defend to the full 90? They're absorbing a lot of pressure right now. And now that substitution is coming. There were a lot of shouts from the bench. Eventually they were heard by Stephen Lucas, and now Javier Rodriguez evens it up in terms of numbers as Jaden Casella has his night abruptly ended. We hope he's okay. Could be looking at a potential concussion there for Casella. He was on the other end of a head knock, I think, between him and Grant Cornwall. Nothing malicious about it from Cornwall, but he did pick up the yellow card. Meanwhile, Keys is in the box. Spirit in the hunt for an equaliser. Top of the box was Lucevic. And it was always rising in the end. Siren. Again, he has to be careful here because he's siren. He is on that yellow card. He can take some time off the clock, but not too much before he's going to attract further attention of Stephen Lucas. Meanwhile, Bay Antonio going forward, looking to dink it back post, and it's a good ball too. Out to Justin Poon, who has a couple assists to his name, looking to score. Only side netting. David Perkovic imploring his side to move the ball as we tick into the final couple minutes of stoppage time. We'll have a decent amount of additional time, you'd think, owing to those yellow cards and that extended stoppage for Jaden Casella. Lucevic. Cornwall. Moving on to Alawalia. He's looked lively aside from his goal zone. Alawalia, he's hit the post as well. Lucevic, and he's left that pass well behind his intended target, much to the glee of the St. George away contingent. And this will invite more time to be taken off the clock by the visitors. Of course, for St. George, this is a massive win in the context of the chase for the top 6. Still early days, of course, in the season, but they were only 1 point behind Manly, who are in 6th coming into this game. Only 1 point separates 6th from 10th, and only 4 points separates 6th from 13th. It is a really crowded mid-table pack at the moment. As our 4th official, Alana Zich, puts the board up, it's going to be 4 minutes of time added on. No surprises at all there as Alawalia loops the ball into the back post. Broomhead lobs it towards Keys. Falls out to Akuba, who turns and shoots. Blocked by St. George, and now Bay Antonio is racing down the other end. Doesn't have all that much in the way of support with him. Goes through his man, goes to ground, but there was enough of the ball there for Spirit to win. And now their backline has been caught out. Kubo. Numbers getting in. Aaron Basic is there. That's where he goes. Marco Aaron Basic gets a touch for Greg Cornwall. More late drama at Christie Park. And it's the veteran, Greg Cornwall, off the bench. And the pressure finally pays off in the second half. Well, Christie Park is no stranger to late drama. It's been a feature of Spirit since they've been in this competition. And Greg Cornwall, who's been here for all those games, may well have saved his side a crucial point. Good play from Spirit. They recognised that Mark Rodich was well deep, and that invited Kubo out on the wing. And from there, he whipped it in. Marco Aaron Basic got a vital touch, and Grant Cornwall was steaming through from the back. The right centre-back of this team, adding an extra number. And now, how this game might turn. What do Spirit have? There is still time. Kubo. Do Spirit have something else left in them? And interestingly enough, that's the first time since round 5 that Spirit have notched up 2 goals in a game. Scoring has been a difficulty for them as of late, and the question is, do they have another goal left in them? Still at least 2 or 3 minutes remaining. And they've got all the momentum, the home crowd right behind them. Cornwall. Alawalia just outstretched there, some tired legs perhaps there from the young right wing back as St. George clear their lines. Cornwall, it's allowed to bounce. It's going to invite some pressure, but he's as cool as ever. Pachevsky. What more do they have, Spirit? St. George trying to stop them progressing the ball up the pitch. Now they go long. Kubo, a lone figure on that left wing. Now support arrives. Chidiak has options further forward. Now he goes into the box. Keys was lurking, but it curls away from him. Siren will take this goal kick, St. George. Given the ladder of these two team positions of these two teams, it's a better point for St. George than it is for Spirit, but St. George have had their opportunities. Now they have to defend. A vital last-ditch interception there. Lucevic goes in, tries to get past Danaskos. Some good touches to get the ball out under his feet as Keys slid in. Now Antonio, bodies flying everywhere. counter breaks down. And now it's Spirit's turn. St. George's defence isn't quite set just yet. And now they will be as Spirit try and find the holes. Cito heads it backwards, and it's going to be a corner into the 94th minute. By the time this is taken, it'll be into the 95th. What do Spirit have? Chris Marks is staying put in his goal. Not quite sending the keeper up time just yet. Lucevic stands over it. Can Spirit find an unlikely winner? In it goes towards Siren. He has to punch it away, and it's away from immediate danger. Spirit still have the ball, though, in the attacking half. Into the mixer. Up goes Pachevsky. Here is Harry Keys. And that's the last involvement of the game. A very entertaining Saturday night game comes to a close. They'll share the spoils in the end. 2 goals apiece. And it's Grant Caldwell's 90th minute equaliser that has saved Spirit a point after Jaden Casella gave Spirit the advantage earlier in the second half. A fantastic afternoon comes to a close. A reminder, there's another game about to kick off at 7:15. That one between St. George City and the Western Sydney Wanderers. And then we've got 5 games for you to enjoy on your Sunday afternoon. I've been Will Constantinides from Christie Park. An absolute pleasure. And thank you for joining us. It's goodbye for now.
Look at that hole. Look at that hole.